Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Peter if you're new here, and I'm a nature photographer. If you are a little bit familiar with my work, then you have noticed that mainly I've been focusing lately on macro photography. One of the most important things that you have to take into consideration when you are shooting macros is the depth of field. With most macro shots, especially if you go beyond the 1:1 life-size magnification, it is recommended that you use at least f8 or even go up to f16 at times. My go-to aperture range on the 100mm macro lens from Canon has been f14. With my Laowa, even though I use that for much higher magnification shots, I tend to go between 2.5 to 3x at most. With that particular lens, my preferred aperture has been f8 in the field, or even f4, which is even a little bit sharper when I'm using stacked shots. I woke up this morning and I thought to myself, I should be experimenting a little bit with shooting at wide apertures such as f2.8 or even f1.4, and I went with the latter. I decided to pick up my 35mm f1.4 lens, which I'm currently shooting with at the moment. That is one of my favorite lenses because it's a super fast glass at f1.4. It creates beautiful bokeh. Then I thought, why not use it in combination with the DCR250 from Raynox? I had to attach one of the step-down rings because the Raynox can only support between 52 and 67mm filter threads with that snap-on lens. So I had to step down from 72mm to 67. One of the main advantages at shooting wide open would definitely be creating a very specific look, something that looks very dreamy, very ethereal, so to speak. I went for a nice relaxing walk for about 30 minutes and I took a couple of test shots. So let's have a look at them together on my computer.
My first subject was this beautiful red flower, and as you can see, if I zoom in, only a very small portion of my subject is in focus. They look like little tendrils or tentacles. This particular lens, the 35mm f1.4, only has 0.18 maximum magnification, but with the DCR250 attached, we can almost triple it. I didn't do much post-processing for this frame. I lowered the black levels, and that was the main technique that I applied. So you would be focusing only on the subject. The rest of the image, with all the little bits and pieces, they weren't as distracting. Let's go to the next image. This is the shot that I took of the dandelion, and you can see if we zoom in that only a very, very small portion again is in focus. Only a very few of these little seeds are sharp enough. The rest is completely blurred out. I went with monochrome in this instance because I wanted to accentuate, I wanted to put emphasis on the textures of these little seeds, and it creates a really nice contrast. I really love this look, the softness on the outer edges, which looks pretty cool in my opinion. This is another shot. Now we've got a live subject. This little tiny fly was doing a little bit of a balancing act. It was just running around in circles on the edge of a leaf of the Swiss cheese plant. And even in this relatively low magnification ratio of about 0.5 to 1, only about 30% of the fly is in focus. I decided to flip the image around. I went with this vertical composition. I really like the split right in the center, and it creates this really nice and dreamy look again that I was after. This shot was taken of the succulent, and again, only a very, very tiny part of this plant is in focus, straight in the middle. I really love that your eyes go straight to the sharper parts of the image and the rest is just so creamy and soft. What I absolutely love about this lens is that the quality of the bokeh is absolutely stunning. The gradual transition from the sharper parts to the out of focus parts, it's just so beautiful, perfectly rendered. Okay, let's go to the next. With this wide angle lens at 35mm, the snap-on lens creates this keyhole look, but it kind of looks cool and fun at times. But then again, with most of your images, you would have to crop in straight to the center. A subject matter in this frame was a tiny little white-banded house jumping spider that I found on the brick wall in the backyard. If I zoom in, you can see how perfectly sharp it is. It took me about 20 attempts to finally get the eyes and the face in focus. All right, let's go to the next one. This is a backlit shot of a leaf that I found on the way back. I adjusted the hues a little bit. I went with this orange look. It was a little bit less orange and more brown. The backlighting really helped define these beautiful veins on this sleeve. Normally I would take multiple images and get more of the frame in focus, but I kind of like this look as well, where the majority of your image is completely out of focus and you are only zoned in on a very small pad. So it's kind of similar to having a lot of negative space. All right, let's go to the next one. This is a backlit shot as well, a little bit more side lighting, I guess. I think this was the flower of a bottle brush. Also with this snap-on lens attached, you had to be very careful how to angle, the camera. Otherwise, there was a lot of ghosting and flaring happening. I really like the color of the background in contrast with the beautiful reds and magenta. We've got 4 more shots left. And these 2 images that are coming up next, these are my absolute favorite. Capture these beautiful tiny water droplets. I zoom in a little bit for you. On a very small leaf at the wetlands. I really love the lighting and the beautiful bokeh. This is the kind of image that I had envisioned this morning, and I was really happy that I managed to capture this shot. And I think there's another variation. Yeah, very similar. This frame demonstrates the extra shallow depth of field as well. And we've got 2 more shots left. With this shot, I did a bit more post-processing than I usually prefer to. I removed the background a little bit by lowering the black levels again, and I changed the hues around a bit. I also lowered the exposure a little bit just to create more contrast. I went with this low-key look again because it makes the flower stand out a little bit more. It makes it look as if it was floating. I really like the simplicity of the frame. I placed everything in the center, made everything symmetric. And there's another variation of the same species, but the center part of the flower was not fully open. It kind of looked cool as well. A few of these little petals are in focus, not even these top ones.
I think this is it for today. We're gonna wrap this video up now. I know that this is not something that I would normally do when I'm out in the field shooting macros. This is all about experimenting, doing things a little bit differently. Thank you so much again for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Thank you.